Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Food Experience. Today's experience, I'm going to go ahead and cook a New York bone-in steak in the Kalorik Maxx air fryer oven. I'm going to use the steak setting 500 degrees, and I don't normally do this, but I'm going to use the tippy top rack position, which is for fast air frying. And we're going to see how it goes. Now, the steak I got, it is just a hair under an inch thick. I know when it's over an inch thick, you definitely don't want to use that upper rack position. You want to use the air fry position. Otherwise, the steak is going to kind of be butted up against the heating elements, and it's not going to work out too well. So let's see how this goes. First, what we got to do is let the steak get to room temperature. I'm going to apply a rub and some extra virgin olive oil. Let's do it. Here's a look at the bone-in New York steak that I got. I really wish they had boneless. I just prefer them. Everyone has their preferences, and as well as everyone has different preferences about what they like to use for a rub or not use a rub at all. Normally I go with a Southwest rub, but this time I am going to go with the blend by Kinder's. It's garlic, salt, and pepper. Now, when I've tried cooking in the upper slot, sometimes I notice the steak will curl up, and someone suggested that I maybe make slits in the fat, and I think I will do that. So let's go ahead and apply the rub. I like to use a lot of seasoning. I prefer my meat to be nice and seasoned, you know? Everyone likes things different, so I don't judge, and I don't like to be judged, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to go ahead and let this get to room temperature. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and preheat the Maxx. That way it is nice and super hot for when the steak goes in. The way I like to cook steaks is I have a combination of the steak tray with the drip pan. Let's go ahead and put the trays in the upper air fry position. So let's go ahead and close the doors, turn it on air fry, go over to steak. I'm going to up the time to maybe 40 minutes, I don't know, maybe 45 even. I want that steak to get to room temperature, and I want the Maxx to be super hot for when the steak goes in. So we're going to let it heat up, and the benefit of doing this is that tray is going to be super hot. So when I put the steak on, it's going to go ahead and start searing and sizzling from the bottom. Very essential you do that. There's a lot of people that don't preheat their Maxx, and I can't imagine why you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't want to cook a steak on a cold grill or barbecue, or even if you did it in a regular oven, you would never want to put a steak in a cold oven. And it does take the Maxx about 10 minutes to get to 500 degrees. During that time, the steak light is going to flash. Once the preheat is done, the steak light will turn solid. And it's definitely going to be solid for quite a bit of time before I put the steak in. So I'll join you back as soon as that steak is up to room temperature. Okay, so it's pretty much up to temperature. It's 60 degrees right now. When I first put the probe in, it was around 45. Shows 8 minutes remaining. That's kind of irrelevant. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Try to do this really fast. Difficult while you're on camera. Slide out the tray just a skosh. And put the steak on. There we go. Close the doors. I usually put the wire underneath. And I'm going to let it go probably for like 4 minutes. In fact, you know, might even set a 4-minute timer. There we go. So when 4 minutes is up, I'm going to go ahead and flip the steak over. And I'm sure you heard it sizzle as soon as I put it on that tray. Okay, 4 minutes is up, and now internal temperature is 98 degrees. I tried to get around the other side here because maybe you could see it better. Little smoke, which I don't normally get when I do it in the other position. I had to get around to this side because it's just too difficult to do it the other way. So went ahead and slid it back in, put that probe wire underneath, and put it back on air fry, go to steak, and I'm going to go ahead, turn it on, and set it for 4 minutes. Probably don't even need to go the full 4 minutes. It's already up to 122. but I do like it more towards the medium side. So I'll probably take it out when it's around 145, and it's at 123 now. Tell you what, it smells really good though. 3 minutes remaining, and it's at 134 right now. I like to monitor it this way. That way I have an idea of the doneness. I certainly don't want it to be overdone, but I don't like it to be underdone either. Temperature probes are such a useful tool. In fact, I may even let it go up to 150 or 152. I don't know, it's at 147 right now. Still has 2 minutes left. It's really difficult to get a char on a steak, and it's not a thick steak, you know? I mean, it's less than an inch, just barely, but it's still less than an inch. All right, so we're up to 150 right now. And like I said, I don't want it to be overdone. It says 2 minutes remaining. I think I'm gonna remove it. So let's go ahead and stop the process. Go ahead and remove it. And it does have a nice char. Let me show you what I'm looking at. All right, so that's what I'm looking at. It definitely has some nice charring going around the edges. So I'm gonna let it rest for a couple minutes and then we're gonna cut into it. Okay, the steak's been resting for about 5 minutes. I went ahead and slid it around, and you could just tell it's like so juicy, all the juices that came out just from sliding it over, because it was facing the other way with the bone this way. So let's go ahead and cut into it and see what we're looking at. Oh yeah, that looks good. That looks really good. Let me see if I could cut out a little wedge. You could tell right in there, it definitely has a nice pink to it. And that's actually the way that I like my steak. So let's go back up top and I'll sample it with you guys. Welcome back everybody. That steak looks like it's pretty dang good. It's super juicy. I didn't really point out how all the juices kept coming out of it, but it's good. Nice and tender, flavorful. Perfectly done the way I enjoy it. Try another couple. Don't mind if I do. Yum. So tender, so juicy. That rub I used is like perfect. Nice and garlicky flavor. Little salt, little pepper. Mostly garlic. So good. So I think that really sums it up. I've had a few different steak videos on my channel. I've tried it a few different methods and ways, but one thing is for sure, definitely do the preheat at 500 degrees. Very important you do that, okay? And try to do it longer than it actually takes to preheat. Like I said, I started my preheat when I took out the steak and rubbed it. That way it's been on 500 degrees for quite a while after, and that steak tray, super hot. So like I said earlier, if your steak is over 1 inch, I probably wouldn't use the fast air fry slot. I think your steak will probably be butted up against those heating elements, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. So there you go, steak done to perfection in the Kalorik Maxx air fryer oven. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please drop me a line down below. I thoroughly enjoy interacting with you guys. And if you can't leave a comment, it's because you're probably not signed in to Google if you don't get the comment option. So make sure you're signed in. That way you could comment to my videos, you could subscribe to my channel, and all that other good stuff. So if you're not already a member here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. What do you got to lose? I got all kinds of good stuff coming up. And with that said, I'm going to wish you all a very stellar day. Be excellent. And most of all, remember me. I'm KJ Andy O, your food experience host with the most. Y'all take care, and I'll see you next time.